Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another live show this morning. Very nice to have you with me this morning. Once again, thank you so much. Really looking forward to today. Today I'm going to be talking all about productivity. It's something that's been on the list for a long time. It is something that has been a personal challenge to me. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are finding the same thing. We've only got so much time in a day and we don't get things done. And it's not like I figured it all out. So let me just, sort of put that disclaimer out there. But there are some things that's made my life a heck of a lot better. So I want to share those with you. And, maybe there's one or two things that you can implement that's going to make your life a little bit better. But, and I've also learned from a lot of people. I'm going to be talking about like the excellent, the good, and the bad that I've seen working with, I don't know how many financial advisors, but it's definitely far over 300, not thousands. It's something that I've seen, and there's always these things that you can identify, what makes the excellent people excellent, and how do they maybe measure it, and what are the things that they're looking at. And, how are we using some of that stuff in my own business? So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Really excited to get into it with you. Very happy that you are all here this morning. Tomorrow, so there's a few things I'm going to share with you today, but tomorrow I'm going to be talking about the future of the show and how we're going to structure it and where we're going, basically based on the results of the survey that we did with you and to the 52 people that did respond to that previously. Thank you so much. There's some really interesting and valuable insights from that. I wish we could have had 500 responses, but, still, I think it's a good portion of the people that are regulars on the show. So it's important for me to know and understand what it is that you're looking for, what's going to be valuable to you, because there's a lot of the things that came out that I thought, like, this is awesome. I love talking about this. This is great. And then people don't, no, there's some other stuff. There's 5 other things that people are really, really interested in. And I will definitely talk to you about that tomorrow. Alrighty, so first of all, good mornings. Kobus Klein, good morning, Kobus. We've got another excellent guest next week. Kobus has put me in touch with another person. So this is number 5. Thank you very much for that, Kobus. You're very gracious and unselfish in arranging these things and just sending me a message and saying, are you interested to talk to this person? And then I go like, yes, please. So thank you very much for that. It is deeply appreciated. Then Almin Lotteren, good morning, Almin. Nice to have you here. My friend Raymond in Southbroom, good morning. And then Neil Strydom, daar in Kroonstad. Malcolm Hendricks, welcome. We are on 416 this morning. So yes, we are growing slowly but surely. His wife Denise, good morning. And then we've got Tinus Brits. Tinus, goeiemôre, daar in Bloemfontein. Stephen Nell and Renee. Kevin, yay. Kevin, nice to have you back. I haven't seen you here for a couple of days. My friend in Manoni, Francis. Goeiemôre, Francis. And good stuff. Thanks, Kobus. Kobus says a nice new beginning video clip. Thank you. Appreciate it. And also, did you see the new poster? Yeah, I bought some posters. So you'll see them come. I'll be changing. I've got 6 new ones. So, yeah, they will change over time. I'm not going to say anything. Let's see if you notice it and let me know what you think. Are you a fan of some of these things? There's a variety. It'll mostly be Marvel. This is not Marvel. This is part of DC Comics, Arrow. So, yeah, but have a look and see. Good morning, Renata. Nice to have you here. Renata and Innocent, they've both been guests on the show before. They presented their workshop on positioning yourself and getting yourself ready for the recovery. And I was fortunate to attend yesterday. I couldn't attend the first day, but really phenomenal what they are doing and the way that they're doing it. I was really, really impressed with what they're doing, and something to look out for in the future. They will keep going with this and offering this. They are 2 very, very, intelligent, but very experienced, coming from a practical point of view, women. So really, really proud to be associated with them. So really, really awesome. Yigo Blom, Yigo, goeiemôre. Ek het jou lanklaas gesien. Salome, good morning, goeiemôre. Shlanganani, Sani Bunani, good morning, goeiemôre. Mark Lang down in Australia, and I've got Carol, and I've got Yaku, and Casper, and Arun. Over here, good morning, Arun, welcome back. So that is about that. So let me just share with you some of the things. Sorry, I'm looking down at my computer this morning because the screen in front of me has got a little bit of a presentation that I want to run you through in terms of the productivity stuff this morning. So I can't look straight there, so I need to look down here. First thing that I just want to sort of share with you, I don't know if you've seen this, but Louis van der Merwe, who was a guest on the show, what was that, episode 15, no, what was it? 49. Yes, episode 49. We spoke about leveling up your financial planning practice. It is the video that's got the second most views of all of the sessions that we've done. So, Louis was phenomenal in that, and I saw that he was doing this. I registered for this myself. So it's called Advice Tech, and it's a little webinar conference thingy that he's doing online, which is happening on the 28th of May. So you can go check that out. Let me just put the link here on the screen. It is for free, and they're going to be having some interesting people on there. So I see ComSpace is going to be there. The guys from Asset Map, it's the CEO himself from America, is going to be on there. The guys from Quickly Sign and Voice. So there's a lot of interesting technology that Louis and them are using in their practice that they want to share with you. And show you what they're doing and how they're doing it, really forward thinking and things that's making their lives and their clients' lives a lot easier. So I really want to encourage you to go check that out. The address there is Louis. It's not Van der Merwe, it's just VD. So just look out for that. It's louisvdmerwe.co.za/advice tech. And it will take you to the registration page and also give you more information. And I saw he said on LinkedIn yesterday that all of these system providers have got some special deals and exclusive offers that they will make available during the session. So please go and check that out. Support Louis in that. I think there's some very interesting things that you can learn from this and just at least become aware of. Often we are just so busy with what we're doing that we're struggling with stuff, and we don't, maybe we know there should be solutions, but now we don't take the time to go find out. So join them for this. And then also very important, I did mention this before, when Sandra was on episode 54, it was also one of our most successful episodes, or most watched episodes, where he was giving very practical guidance and advice and things around how you can go about and working with clients, etc. And he was talking about scripts and all sorts of different documents. And he said that he would share this with us, and he did. So you can go download it right now. This is what the page looks like that you'll get to on my website. So you go to francodutoit.co.za/scripts. So that's francodutoit.co.za/scripts, and you can download it there. I'm not asking for your email address or anything like that. Sandra has graciously offered this to everybody, and I've just made it easy for you to download and for you to go get it there. There's also links to his website and his book and his app, his free coaching app and all that kind of stuff. So go check that out. And then lastly, a lot of clicking today. And lastly, I just want to remind you about this. And that is the tax tool that is available, the latest one. So we've sent that out. If you're an existing user, you've gotten an email from me with the code that you need to use to get your discount for your special renewal rates. But you can get all the information on here. If you didn't get your email and you're an existing user, let me know. I will resend it to you gladly. If you want more information, you can just go to francodutoit.co.za/tax tool. And let me know if you're interested. Then I can do a little webinar on this, not as part of the show, but a separate webinar where I can show you what the tax tool actually does and how it can be beneficial to you in your practice. All right. Lekker, man. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready for this today. So really looking forward to get into this. It's so much easier not having to flip between my phone and my laptop. So great stuff. Gomotso, good morning. Frans Hatting and Chart, good morning, guys. Jonita Smith, welcome. Nice to see you here. Mornay Greiling, good morning. Everybody that's joined us, so thank you very much. And I'm ready. If you're ready, I am absolutely ready. So really excited to get into this. Alrighty, so let me do this. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about productivity. As I said, it's something that's been on the list for quite a while, and it is, and still after today's session. So I've got a quick call with somebody at 10, but then the rest of the day I am spending figuring out, exactly where my time is going, exactly what I'm spending my effort and my energy on, and what the outcomes of those things are, in the short term, but more importantly in the long term, to sort of figure out, am I busy? And you'll see as I go through this, and I will share with you that the problem is that there's always something that's trying to take you away from what it is that you are supposed to be doing. There's always something that's, you're busy with this, and then you go, remember the door effect? Here's anything. And especially now, where we have more time because we're not traveling, that, it's easy to fill that time up very easy. It's like as soon as you've got free time, something wants to get there and something wants to take that away from you. And we need to be very careful about that. And I'm one of those that my time, other people are filling my time for me a lot of the time, and I'm not always in control with that. So, this is something I want to share with you, some of the things that do work for me, some of the things maybe that we're still struggling with. I will share that as well. But let's see. Good morning, Jacques Retief and Conrad Becker. Baie welkom. Nice om julle hier te hê. Baie dankie. And all right, so first of all, just sort of productivity for me all comes down and back to practice management. I don't know if you agree, but that's really what it's about. And for me, when we talk about practice management, because we've got these words that we use, and it relates to our profession and our industry and the way that we do things. So we talk about practice management because it sounds more professional and because it's like just what we've come to talk about. But for me, there's absolutely no difference between business management and practice management. Usually a business is like, maybe it's a bit bigger and maybe there's more things happening there. A practice is maybe more your single person kind of setup, but still it's business management. And that is really what it is about. I've worked with, 300 or over 300 advisors. So both in the IFA space, the corporate space, tied advisors. So I've really worked with everybody across the board. And a lot of the things that I want to share with you really comes from that. So, and these were one-on-one relationships. This wasn't like, I have the relationship with somebody at Nedbank or at ABSA or at FNB, and then that was my exposure to the advisors, hearing what the exco is saying or hearing what the management is saying or anything like that. These were one-on-one relationships where I was actively involved in their businesses. I had a direct impact on some of the things that they did. And I got to see what they were struggling with. And, the guys that were not struggling, what were they doing versus the ones that were? And it's really quite eye-opening when you get to see that. So, really seen it all. It's like probably you have as well. You've seen the excellent, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today I'll be talking about the excellent, the good, and the bad, just what the difference is. And one thing that I've definitely come to realize very, very quickly and early on, working with different people, is that high production does not equal excellence. It's not the same thing. Some people will measure their production or their turnover or their profits or whatever the case may be, as that is definitely one of the measures of success, right? Because you're in business to make money. You're in business to make a life for yourself and your family and to look after everybody properly. Do something that you can be proud of. And to do that, you need to make money. So, but high production. So the fact that somebody is doing 5 million a month or 100,000 a month or whatever that amount may be, it doesn't mean that they are excellent at what it is that they're doing. It's not, it may be one of the indicators, but it's not necessarily the thing that shows us that. Obviously, and it's interesting, I was listening to a video. Who was it? Now I can't remember. It was yesterday or the day before yesterday, where I was listening to someone who did it. Oh, it was one of Tanya Kunz's interviews on a show, Healthy Business, and this was done back in 2013, right? She was talking to Joel Stransky, and he was talking about things, and he was saying like how difficult it is and these challenges, and you hear this and you hear that, and I was like, but holy moly, nothing has changed. We're still saying the same things. We're still concerned about the same things. Hell, it's 7 years later. So it sounded like, I thought, like, when was this last year? And I looked at it and I saw, wow, it was 7 years ago. So it was in 2013, but we're in a new era with new challenges. And there's that program or webinar that I did for the FBI on the new world or the new environment in which we will be operating post the pandemic. I saw that came out. They didn't let me know, but it's out. Somebody else sent me an email to show me that it came out. So that's available from them. So if you're an FBI member and you are paid up and you registered, you can go and watch that webinar where I talk about what is the new world of work or the new world for the financial advisor and your practice. And one of the things that I say, not giving anything away, that I start off with, we don't really know. And also I read an article recently that Johan Oosthuizen's son-in-law wrote, and that is sort of, sometimes the things I think in my head just doesn't come out right, or I don't get to say what I think always. But he was also saying that, nothing's really new, nothing's really changing. It's just that the focus is shifting. It's really shifting from, we are looking at, we could always do virtual meetings. We could always do these kind of things, and we could always do webinars and this, but the focus was on face-to-face. It's just that the new environment is now shifting our focus to use tools and things that's always been there, just to a greater degree. It's just that we're moving away from one thing but there's nothing really new. Okay, and we have to adjust to a few things and so forth, but nothing is really new. It has always been there. Nothing has been discovered that we haven't known or done before yet, as far as I know. I don't know. But anyway, so if you look at this, this is a new era, and new challenges, new pressures, still doing the same thing, I guess. So let's have a look at that. And I think one of our challenges is that the job that we do, whether you are running your own practice or whether you are working for a corporate, you're a tied advisor, or whatever it may be, there's a lot of freedom that's inherent in our business. And it's often one of the big reasons why people get into financial planning is because they are able to manage their own time. They're able to manage their own diary. They can do all of this stuff. And even yesterday when we spoke about the habits, I was speaking about, your schedule and your diary and that kind of thing. So what is the difference? If I look at the excellent, the good, the bad, and I say that with, there's nobody that I particularly want to plug into any of these. You can do a self-assessment on this and say, okay, so which ones of these are maybe applicable to me? So you can see, because you may have some things in the excellent column and you may have some things under good and, a couple of things under bad. So it's not to say that you will just fit into one of these columns, but hopefully this will also be a clear indication of where you could focus on in order to change things, or to overcome the challenges that you may be facing right now. So if you look at it, people that are really doing well, whether you're excellent or good, they have a written plan. The bad, we're just winging it. And it was interesting. I really enjoyed this yesterday when on Renata and Innocent's program, where this one guy said his big aha moment from the first day was that, what, I don't have a vision, I don't have a mission, what I have is a to-do list. And how applicable is that to so many of us to say, well, you have a to-do list and that's your work and that's your purpose. It's just to get your to-do list done. But there's no clear direction and sort of where are we going with this? And that's what I've seen. If you've got a written plan, it doesn't mean that it's got to be a book or a 10-page or 50-page plan. It can be literally a one-page sketch. But there's very clear, you've written it down. It's become tangible because you've done that. So anyway, and then obviously, do you stick to the plan? You'll see that the excellent, yes, they stick. They are religious about that. They absolutely stick to that all the way. The good mostly, because that's what, I have a plan, but I stick to it mostly, not like religiously. And the bad, sometimes they stick to their plan. But remember, they don't have a written plan. They have a plan in their head, maybe, or maybe they have no plan. But, sometimes they do stick to some form of, I think they often operate on projects. So they will focus on, here's something that we can now market for the next 3 months and that kind of stuff, So there's no real process. It's just what is the next thing, and then we focus on that. So that happens. And nothing wrong with that, it is just different people focus on different things in their business. And obviously then having documented processes, we've spoken about this quite a lot. And so few people actually have that. But again, you look at the excellent advisors or excellent businesses, let me talk about businesses. They have their processes documented, but they don't only have it documented, it's part of their system. It's so important that it must be part of your system. It doesn't help it being printed out in a file somewhere and somebody needs to go fetch the file. No, it needs to be in your way of work. It's got to be part of your technology workflow system. And then the good sometimes and the bad, no, we just wing it. Everything we know is there. And usually how you know that you've got a problem is that when somebody leaves, so if you've got an assistant and they leave and everything is in shambles, then there is a problem. I think that is sort of that. I wanted to add some more to that, but I'm not going to. Okay, so the default diary, obviously that is something that we spoke about yesterday. Having a default diary. The excellent, yes, they do have a default diary. The good, nah, sort of, and the bad, no, they don't. Then also another important thing is measuring, your activities, your outcomes, your results, the effectiveness of your processes. All of these things should be measured, and you can again go and see that the excellent measures those things. The good, the bad will probably just measure one thing, and that would be production. The good also, they measure some things, but maybe not all the things so they don't deem everything important necessarily that the guys under excellent would deem important, but they would definitely do that. And then mentality, if you look at the excellent, and this I've seen, again, and this is where this inherent freedom that's in the job comes in, where some people would go play golf every single chance they get. The excellent are laser focused. So unless they've scheduled time for golf in their diary, they won't go and play golf, or they won't go and have coffee with their spouse, or they won't go. They are absolutely laser focused. They see, if they decided that their rhythm is 3 clients a day, they will see 3 clients a day. And they're very, very consistent. Whereas the good, they are mostly focused because that's why they're good. The bad, let's see what happens. And we just go from there. But I guess that if I can talk about what I believe is the real secret is that, if you have a plan, and we all know this, I mean, we've said this so many times, if we can do the best plan for a client, we can sit with them, we can talk to them, but if they don't take action, it doesn't really mean much. So I've got a few sort of examples of what I can relate this to say, well, a plan without action is like getting in the car, but you never start the engine. You just sit there. Maybe you listen to a bit of radio or that. You buy a house, but you never maintain the house. So it just goes backwards and backwards and backwards. You want to run a marathon, which I don't want to do, but you never start exercising, asking your dream girl out on a date, and just then you never pitch, or your dream guy, and then you don't pitch. So it's the same, planning your best holiday ever, but never booking it. Everything's there, the vision board, everything, where you're going to stay, the budget was done, everything was done, but you just don't book that holiday. And then, it's all for nothing. So I guess the secret sauce, and this is also something that I've spoken about quite a few times on the show, and I think the big difference between if you're excellent or you are not, where do you go from that? And that is just being consistent and doing the right activity. So that combination is extremely, extremely powerful and effective. So it's consistent activity. And I was watching a video from Douglas Kruger last night about writing a book, and he was sharing a few stories because somebody asked, how many words do you need to write? How long does it take to write a book? And there was something to that effect. And he was saying, he writes on average, maybe I don't know what he said, like 3,000 words or that. If he's really sitting down writing a book, he writes about 7,000 words a day for 10 days or a week at once or a month for a month long. And, he's saying that people like Stephen King and I can't remember the other one, but they write 2,000 words a day. But he said his words were, but they do it every single day. And again, then that prudential ad comes up that I've spoken about before, that, one guy was just traveling the same distance regardless of the weather every single day. And the other person was saying, if it's a good day, we travel as far and as hard as possible. And then if it's bad weather, we just stay in the tent. And then the guy who was doing the same thing every single day finished first. It was based on a true story as far as I remember. So it's the same thing with this, just that consistent activity. Day 1 feels like you've done nothing. Day 2 feels you've still done nothing. Day 3, day 4. And then suddenly you get to day 7. Wow, you get to week 2 and week 3 and then, wow, there you are, 62 episodes later. It's just like, it still feels like yesterday. And that's the thing, so maybe day 1, it feels like you're not accomplishing anything, but by being consistent and doing a little bit, and I even spoke about this yesterday, speaking about learning to earn. You got to learn to earn, and you shouldn't be sitting down and studying a whole host of things for a week. Study a little bit every single day. So that's extremely important. Alrighty, but although you need that, you also need KISS. Now this is my own thing that I started when I was a consultant. When I came to Joburg in 2004, I've been in the industry since 1998. In 2004, I moved to Johannesburg, and I moved here to Liberty in Roodepoort. and I was a consultant there. And, I was trying to do branding. I had my own sort of letterhead with my own logo and my own sort of story about what makes me unique, because I needed to stand out from the rest of the consultants, not only in the branch, but particularly the other companies, the competitors. And I spent a lot of time to sort of figure out that what is my particular value proposition, and sort of what makes it different, and what is important from, for a financial advisor when they have a consultant, what would be important. And this has sort of become my thing. And still today, my business, I think, is built on this. And then I also started relaying this to advisors, because this is as applicable to you and your clients as it is to anybody else. So it's called KISS, and it's first thing that you need is knowledge. And you'll see it's interesting enough. I mean, if I created this in 2005, right? So if I look at that, and you look at some of the things that we were talking about, with some of the other episodes, how these things keep on coming back to the same kind of stuff. So, knowledge is critical. It's a given. I always said as a consultant, you needed your product knowledge was given, but then you also need a whole host of other things. And because of my view around that, that's why I can sit here today and do these things and talk about the things that I'm talking with you about, because I spent the time gaining that knowledge and trying things and learning, and, just having practical experience to back that up with. But knowledge is absolutely critical, and you can't just go and say, oh, these are all the product solutions from the product providers, or I prefer to work with this product provider and that and that and that. And then you need that knowledge. That is sort of the base. It's a given. It's not even, somebody's not even going to ask you, because it's almost assumed that you've got that knowledge, because without that, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. But then there's all these other things. So it's about the knowledge about running your business. It's about financial planning. It's about client engagement. It is about coaching. It is about, financial literacy. It is about all sorts of stuff, technology and I don't know, there's so many things. But that's the kind of knowledge that you need. And without that, it's very hard. The second thing that you need is integrity. So you've got to be doing the right thing. And they say integrity is doing the right thing when nobody else is watching, So this is how everybody thinks they've got integrity, and sometimes we are willing to blur the line a little bit on that, and it comes down to ethics at the end of the day. And it's like, every person is responsible for their own. It's not my job or somebody else's job to please you. I need to please myself. But integrity is absolutely critical. So you need knowledge and you need integrity. And then the third thing you need to really have a business is you need to deliver good service. So if you take any of these things away, let's say I don't have the knowledge, so I have all the integrity in the world and I give great service, but I have no clue what the hell I'm doing, then I'm not going to keep my clients. I can have all the knowledge in the world, be the most clever person that's ever lived and walked this earth, and I can give great service. But if I don't have integrity, I'm not going to have a business. The same thing. I can have all the knowledge in the world and be the most integritous person that you've ever come across. If you give bad service, you're also not going to have a business. So you can see how these things work. But then there's a foundation that I've added to this over time. So there's a foundation that one needs to have in place. And that is absolutely that relationships are key. Relationships are key. And some relationships last forever and some are seasonal, but relationships, and I've spoken about this before where I said, people open doors. People connect people to people. You can have all the technology and like all the writing skills and, you can have all the content in the world. But at the end of the day, one person connects another person to another person. It is as simple as that. And I had it yesterday again, where somebody said to me, you know what, this is one of my clients. I think you two need to talk to one another. Maybe he'll be a good guest. Maybe this, maybe that. So that's great. You look at Kobus helping me getting, some phenomenal guests on the show. That is Kobus helping me to do that. Okay. It's just, that's what it is. So relationships are key, and relationships are built on integrity, and trust. And that comes over time. But this is the model that I think if you just look at this in your business as well, it's going to have a lot of value. And you can say, well, where are you in terms of these different things? And then maybe that gives you an idea of what you could focus on. So let me get a little bit more pragmatic and a little bit more practical. So planning your day, this is sort of important to have structure. And as I said yesterday as well, I'm not a routine person. I don't really like routine. It's very boring to me. I get bored extremely easily. But you do need structure. So you need to know, like, okay, you need to see clients, you need to create content, you need to, when I do it, so I don't have to do it every day at 9 o'clock, but I know that these things need to happen this week, and every single day there's certain things that needs to happen. That's having structure. Routine is more, I'm doing this at 9 o'clock and this at 10 o'clock and this at 11 o'clock, and every single day is the same, or every second day or every week is the same. So that's very boring to me. But anyways, but structure is extremely, extremely important. So it starts off with your default diary. I'm not going to get into that too much because we've spoken about that. And then you got to have daily goals, and sometimes the daily goal, I guess, is your, what do you call it, your to-do list. And it is interesting. And also, there's also something that Douglas said the other day in another video, that he was talking about, that the experts have two to-do lists. So go check out that video. If you look at Douglas Kruger's channel and you just go, it was now in the week, you'll see it there. It's something about expert positioning, but it talks about two to-do lists. So you can have a look at that. But anyway, so if you look at a default diary, that's just having the structure and all of that. I'm not getting into that. You can look at yesterday's episode if you want to know more about that. So that was, what was that, episode 61, where we spoke about 4 habits. So you can have a look at that. So your daily goals, are there a certain number of like telephone calls that you have to make? And it's not to say that it's only to make appointments. It could be particular telephone calls, like you want to connect with people, or you want to follow up on things, or anything like that. So got follow-ups, what do you want to do in terms of networking? What do you need to do in terms of admin and appointments and prep for different things? So these are the things. And I mean, then you need to have appointments and meet with clients and do all sorts of stuff. But what are your daily goals, and what are you really, if you go back to yesterday, I said you need to focus on the things that's going to generate income first, and which of those goals should be in your daily goals, and how do you then measure that? Okay, but be very aware of that quick coffee. Now this is the one benefit of not being able to go out, but still I can walk into my house here out of the studio and go and have a coffee, make myself some coffee, stand around, watch YouTube, which I do. But beware of that. Let's have a quick coffee. Do you have time? Are you available? Let's quickly meet. I just want to catch up. It's so easy to say yes to those things because it's breaking the mundane and breaking the routine a little bit, but it's taking your focus away from the things that you should be really focusing on. Then also personal errands, have time for that. Schedule time for those things, but it's quickly. I'm just running out quickly. I need to go do this. I've done it so many times. I said, I've got an idea. I just want to go get something quickly at the stationery shop. It's a personal errand. Yes, it's for work, but I stay away for half an hour, and it's half an hour that's gone. So those things are really something that's going to interrupt your day. Online activities, not things that are productive and things that are focused on your business, but just, the odd YouTube video and the Facebook scrolling and the Instagram pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff. And Pinterest, very, very dangerous, Pinterest, because you get sucked into that so easily. And then also just series, getting into that whole, like, let's watch Friends again. Let's have some nostalgia. So I'm going to be watching Friends. Or there's this latest, greatest new series on Netflix, and you can binge watch that. So, it's just, I just need to break away a little bit. But the thing is that your mind doesn't rest, and you don't really get away from work, because while you're watching that, your mind can still go wandering. And that's why I've always advocated doing a hobby, doing something creative, something that's going to take your mind completely away. You can't focus on anything but what you're busy with. Then you're really breaking away. But if you're doing something like listening to music, even if you're having a braai, doing these things, your mind can still wander, and you can still, think and talk about other different things. So I don't know, but there's some other stuff that you should be just be aware of. So you can do that. But every day, what can we focus on? Obviously, the right activities, and then tracking your activities, and then being productive. It means that just use your time effectively, because the thing is that you can't manage time. In my opinion, you can't manage time. The only thing that you can manage is your behavior and the things that you are spending your time on. Because whether I'm doing something or whether I'm not doing something, time is passing by. If I sit here and stay quiet for 10 seconds, 10 seconds is going to pass. If I speak during that 10 seconds, the 10 seconds are still passing. So there's nothing that you can do to manage time. I think it's a myth that I can, because that means that you can control time. You can't. The only thing you can control is what you do during the time that you have. And I'm getting anxious at the moment because things are just moving so freaking quickly, and it feels like I'm not really getting the results yet that I'm looking for. Remember, I've been doing this now since 2013. So, it's been a long time, And now it's like, oh crap, okay, I'm turning 45. And now suddenly 60 is not that far off, and 65 is not, and like, time is getting less and less and less. And also, it's so much energy and stress and all sorts of stuff that now I start to worry, like, I'm going to make it that far. So there's all these things that's starting to play, and that's also taking my focus away from the things that I should be focusing on. But that's just the one idea I wanted to leave with you, is that we should stop thinking that we can manage time. We can't. We can only manage what we do and what we focus on. That's why you really need to be, and I still battling to get the right word, but you've got to be very critical, or you've got to be very jealous of your time. You've got to be very, wat is synig? If old Scrooge, what, you shouldn't be spending just time on anything and everything. You should really be very, like, I don't know, I can't get to the word. I'm sorry. And then we've got to learn to say no. That's the biggest thing, to be able to do that. So how do we prioritize activities? Well, again, the reasons for this is that the business versus busyness thing, I'm not going to get into that. But we need to be clear on what is really urgent, really, really urgent. And then what is important, and then what is significant. Because there's a big, big difference between all of these, and what needs to be done by me and what can be done by others. In other words, what don't have to be done by me. But those are very important, So what are the things that I need to do that is very, very urgent? So they must be done now. Which things is important, which means I must do it soon. And then which are the things that will be significant? So those are typically things that are longer term. They may not be urgent right now. They may not be important right now, but in the long term, they are going to be significant. And this is sort of also, now that I think about it, this is also something that Douglas is referring to in that video, because he said, you must have your daily things. Just don't have more than 5 things on your to-do list for the day. But then you must always have something in there that is looking at your next project, that is going to be working on what is the next thing that's going to take you forward, the thing that's going to be making you significant. Then that's how I'm making that connection just as I'm speaking to you, and then you can create a page or a spreadsheet or a thing. There's now fantastic apps. So there's something like To Do on Microsoft To Do, which I use that. It's brilliant. I know there are other tasks and, to-dos and things like that. And people like Evernote and Notion and all sorts of interesting apps that's available. I like staying in the Microsoft sphere because then everything works together. So Microsoft To Do, and they've just launched Microsoft Lists. So you can also do that. There's Microsoft Planner that we're using inside Microsoft Teams to sort of just, if there's a lead that comes in the accounting business, for example, I put it on there. I tag the appropriate person that needs to make contact, and it's working wonderfully, and it's there. And I don't have to look at it because everybody's putting their feedback on there. But whatever you use, okay, some of the things, this is sort of what you can do, is to say, okay, over here, so you've got, let me put on the laser pointer here. So if you've got the urgent, this is activity 1. This is what you focus on today. Then there's a column for your important stuff, because those are the things that will over time move into urgent, because something that's important is eventually going to become urgent. So that's what you've got there. What are the things that you need to do, okay, that will be significant and that's going to make a real impact, but it's neither urgent nor important at the moment. It is just something that you need to work on consistently so that you do achieve it somewhere in the future. And that will bring that significance. And then you can also say, okay, but here are a whole list of things that needs to be done by me. So they may move over from done by me all the way up to urgent. And then what can be done by others? So what can I delegate to other people? So these are some of the things. Some people get so stuck into these to-do lists that they can't think and do anything else. So don't overthink this. Don't overdo this. Don't have too many things. Just focus on what you should be focusing on, and sort of see who can do the rest for you. Is one of the things I'm going to be looking at today as well. What I'm going to do about my emails, what am I going to do about feedback, what am I going to do about all these things, because they are taking me too much time. I was writing proposals this week. Well, it's necessary. I have to do it. If I don't have a proposal, then I promise you there's nothing that's going to happen. It's not something like, oh, this is the price over the phone. I need to put something into writing. So these things take time, but those are things that somebody, if I can tell somebody, listen, this is what you put in there, they can write the whole thing for me, and then I can go on with other stuff. So we need to start thinking like that. All right. So if you look at it, it's urgent and it's significant. You always do it first, then the urgent, and then what is important, and so on. So that's just sort of the thing you follow. The next thing I just want to talk about very briefly is really measuring results. You know that there's people saying that, and there's one specific, I don't know if it was Peter Drucker or who it was that said, you can't manage what you can't measure. There's a lot of people that don't like that, but you always have that to say, you know what, this is what it is. And because the bulk of the people believe in this, I will believe the exact opposite. There's no basis for me for believing the exact opposite. But I just don't want to go with everybody else. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't believe in that. If you've got a very strong basis and proof for why you don't believe in that, then that's all perfectly fine. But I do believe that measuring results tells a story, and measuring results makes us aware at stuff. When I was looking this morning at the results from the survey, for example, I mean, it's telling me very clear and specific things. Very, very clear. It's undeniable. And I will be stupid to focus on anything else but what the survey is telling me at the moment. And even then, if I do that, it's not to say that I'm going to implement everything, perfectly. So there will still be feedback. No, we don't like this. Don't do that. We don't do that. And then we make it better over time. But at least we'll be moving in the right direction. So without measuring results, you won't know if you're going in the right direction and whether you are moving forward or backwards. If you've been on some of those rides at Gold Reef City where you think you're going forward, but you're actually going backwards, or suddenly the floor disappears below your feet and you're like, am I hanging in the air? Am I standing on something? I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so, you got to know what you want to track. You got to be clear, like, what are the key things? And again, if I go back to yesterday and I say, focus on the things that's going to generate income first. And you say, okay, my 4 things, for example, was meeting with people or talking to people, facilitating, in other words, presenting workshops or selling my content. That's the other thing, marketing and creating content. So those are the 4 things that I should do in order to create income in my business. And then, I mean, those are the things that I want to track. So if you've got team members, then each of them may be tracking something different. At the end of the day, you're tracking everything in the business, but different people are responsible for different things. So if it's just you in the business and you don't have an assistant or any team or anybody like that, then what I would suggest you do is just choose the 3 things that are most important and track those, and there's got to be financial measures that you've got to track. There's got to be activity, because at the end of the day, you've got no control over the amount of income that you're earning. The only thing that you've got control over really is your activity, because what is really driving your remuneration, it doesn't matter what type of business you're in, these activities. And now I go back to the business model canvas. We were saying, okay, what are the key activities that we need to perform in order to generate the value that needs to be delivered to the client that we created in the value proposition canvas? And what are my key resources and my key partners that I need to be able to make that happen? So you've got to have financial metrics. You've got to have activities. You've got to track activities, and then you've got to be able to measure the relationship and get feedback, so that you can make it better. But those are some of the things that you need to be tracking, so that you know where you're going. And then obviously, if you're tracking activities, hopefully you'll be able to see how you're spending your time and what you're spending your time on and what is the results that's coming from that. And there's a model that I'm going to do today. There's something that I came up with yesterday that I'm going to use today. I'm going to sit down with my wife and she's like my silent business partner, because she asks all the right questions. Usually she doesn't have the answers always, but she knows what questions to ask. And she'll very quickly tell me if I'm coming up with a BS answer or something. So we're going to sit down today and, it's like going to say, okay, so these are the 3 things that we're going to look at. And this is how I'm going to measure whether I should continue with this, whether I should stop it or not. And it's not just a typical thing. I think it's a different way of doing it. It's just something that I was sitting yesterday and thinking about and saying, okay, but this is how I'm going to do it. So let me try that and see what happens. And if it's great, I'll share that model with you at some stage. But anyway, so know what you want to track. You want to track your first year commission, your activities, the time spent, and that kind of stuff. Then you need to create a system. It can be electronic, it can be paper-based, whatever works for you. Don't make it difficult for yourself. Don't go and sit now for 4 days and go and design some weird and wonderful spreadsheet that can be completed from Mars and that will create some beautiful dashboard for you. That's fantastic, but it's not your job to do that. Either get somebody to do that for you, or just have a very simple thing to start tracking things. First, see how this works, and because otherwise you build this weird and wonderful thing and you don't use half of it, or you don't even use it ever at all. So start off with something that's simple that you can really manage and do. Don't overthink this and don't overdo this, and just have something. If you've got a column, I'm going to share something very powerful with you just now. But there are things that you can do in order to do that. So I want to share with you the 4-point plan. Now, the 4-point plan is not this is not my invention. It's not my brainchild. This is was done by, or where I learned it for the first time was a guy called Henny Botha. Henny Botha is a very successful broker consultant in Bloemfontein. And when I started back in 1998, he was one of the guys that sort of, I had to go with him on joint calls, and I learned a bit from him. And over the years, we've had many conversations and things. And one of the things that he shared at one of the meetings that we had back then was this thing called the 4-point plan. And it was so powerful. I didn't use it with all my advisors, but there was 2 or 3 of them that came to a point where they said, like, you know what, my expenses are running away from me. I'm battling. My income has gone down. This and this and this has happened. And again, I said to them, you know what, this is just all about your activity. It is what you're focusing on. It is what you're not doing probably, or it may be what you're doing, but it's because what you're doing there is causing you not to do these things that you should be doing probably. So if you can commit to this 4-point plan, is exponential in the results that it creates. It is really, really amazing. So what it's really about is that you choose 4 activities. And again, you see now, like the things I talk about in many of the episodes, it's just like, okay, all these things are coming together now. And that's starting to make sense to me. But anyway, so you choose 4 activities. So as I said yesterday, choose the 3 things, but choose 4 activities that you must complete each and every single day. All right. You're not allowed to go home or go out of your office, walk out of away from the dining room table to your to your kitchen or anything like that if they are not completed. You've got to be relentless about this if you want to get things right. Okay. It's a simple ticking system. So it's very simple. I'll show you that, it's actually a PowerPoint that has just got 9 slides on it. They're all the same. You print them out. You could, in the past, we cut them out and stuck them on there. But now you can maybe create like a checklist or something like that on a Trello board or on in Microsoft Planner or something like that. But it's a simple ticking system. So you don't have to write anything. It's just, I did it. And that's it. So it's just a thing of keeping you focused, and then just also showing, so you can see your progress and you can celebrate and say, wow, I ticked that. When you have 4 ticks, so you've done all of the things, then you can go. But if not, then you need to get those 4 ticks. All right. So this is what it looks like. It's really like just a little table. You can choose these 4 tasks there on the left-hand side is just for example purposes. So here you maybe you need to make telephonic appointments that are made and agreed to by the client. So this isn't a number of calls. So you can say you need to make 10 telephonic appointments today, or you can choose. You need to say, I need to make 10 phone calls. So maybe if you're battling to contact clients and to be speaking to clients, and I know that this is not about cold calling. Okay, so cold calling is something that I despise myself because I don't have the personality for that. Other people, it's still the only way that they can do it. So there's no right or wrong, but you need to figure out here what is working for you. And for me, this may be social media stuff, or maybe this may be emails, or maybe this may be WhatsApp, or maybe this may be just literally checking in with people, whatever that may be. But in this case, let's just go with, you've got a telephonic appointment. So in other words, you phoned and you got the appointment, because you can make 100 phone calls. If you don't get the appointments, those 100 phone calls don't mean nothing. So you got to make sure, like, what do you want to do? Then you need to have one meeting with a client that is a fact finding. So it's a new client. It's literally what it is. It's a new client meeting. So it's a fact finding meeting. You want to get more information. You want to establish the relationship, get all of that going. So you want that. So particularly some of these things, and as I said, it's only for example, maybe more applicable to newer financial advisors. But sometimes, we need to reset and we need to go back to the basics. So, and as I said, you can change these 4 things to anything that you feel. What are those 3 or 4 things that you need to be doing? So I can put my 4 things in here as well. Then you have one appointment to present a proposal. In other words, so you had one fact-finding meeting. Now you obviously go back and do the planning, and now you've got another meeting with those clients, and that's basically that second meeting. But these are different clients. So you've got one client that you're seeing today to do a fact find. You've got one client that you're seeing to present your recommendations and your advice, and then, you know, a business appointment, and then and to close. So it may be, these are all three different clients. So these are 3 meetings a day. One is a new client, one is going back with proposals, and the other one is to get them to sign on the dotted line, for example. You know, so that's really what it is. And as you go through that, you know, you just tick, point receive, boom, tick, tick. And if you ticked it, then you're good to go, and you can come back tomorrow and do exactly the same thing. All right. So, as I said, you can adapt it for each of the activities, review it once a week, see what's happened, where you are you sticking to this? And then, you know, what's happening? Should you be doing something different next week? You know, are some of the things that you're doing not really yielding results? What are you going to do? And then you can start to look at, well, okay, so if I look at this, let me start comparing weeks to one another. So let me compare this to maybe a time before I started doing this, and then you can compare weeks to one another, and you can compare months to one another, and see what's happened. You know, look at what's happened to your production. Look what's happened to the way that you manage your time. Look at the way, you know, the kind of conversations that you're having, and sort of the connections and communication that there is with you and your clients, you know, and see, and also even have a look at what happens to your referrals. That might be very interesting. Okay. And then you can just identify what it is that you want to focus on in the next week, and so on and so on and so on. And you just keep going at that. So that's an idea, you know, to help you with productivity, and to really be there, because, you know, if I show you my to-do list, I think you will run away. And that's what I realized. You get so overwhelmed that you almost get paralyzed, and you don't go through and do the things that you should be doing. Cool beans. So let me see what some of the comments are. Siba says, I like the secret sauce. Thank you very much. A good average book would be around 30,000 words. Yes. And he actually said that that's a small book. So he said, like, you know, if it's a small book, you look at 35 to 50,000 words, and then 50 to 75 would be a general book. And then sort of, if you go over 100,000, then it becomes a big book. So it was quite interesting to listen to what he had to say. And, but yeah, so very interesting. Let me see. Slankanani says it's like training for a marathon. We run cold or warm. Yes, you need to run. Doesn't matter what it looked like. Yes, Renata and Raymond say stingy. Yes, you got to be stingy with your time. Thank you very much. That's my English word for today. Stingy. Okay, got to be stingy with your time, not with your grace and with your love and with your compassion, but with your time. All right. Having a list or 2 or 3, Carol says, is important for me. And when I reflect and cross off the things I've done, releases the feel-good hormone of accomplishment. If I don't do this at the end of the week, I wonder what I've spent my time on, and I've been so busy. Yes. And if you don't do that, there's no record, because we can't remember what we did yesterday and the day before and last week. So we don't know if we were like doing things that's taking us closer to our goals or taking us away from our goals. And the problem is, if one of your strengths are like mine is responsibility, you know, discipline is not one, but responsibility is. And responsibility is one of those ones that can very easily, you know, make you step in the dog poo, really, because you will stick to what, you know, sometimes it might take you long to get to do what you said you were going to do, but you will still do it. But it's taking time away from the things that you should be doing, because the thing is that you want to help everybody, and you want to, you know, just show that you care, and you just want to be there. You have this responsibility towards others, and you lose the responsibility towards yourself, you know, and that's what I'm struggling with quite a bit. So that's just something I need to work on. Each step I take is getting me closer to where I want to be, but it's good to be aware of the foundations that are crucial in the journey. Yes, because you can't evaluate and change and adapt if you don't do that. Lekker Bloemfontein. Ja, sê Tinus. Ja. Lekker Bloemfontein. The 4-point plan sounds like a plan. Thanks, Francois. Yes, it's a pleasure. Is on. Ravindran says, I enjoy, and your 4-point plan's brilliant content. Regards, Ravi. Thank you very much for that. Guys, yes, that's my story. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I'm going to be back. And I will be talking about the future of the show and sort of what did we learn from the survey. I want to share that with you. And I want to really have an interactive session with you where you give me some of your input and your feedback as well. I want to test some ideas with you. If you don't mind, I'll really appreciate it. If you can join me for that, it'll be fantastic. You're a big part of the show, and I really appreciate it. I will also announce probably tomorrow who the guest is that we'll be having on Wednesday. And then there's a big long shot that I'm taking with somebody as well and seeing if I can be successful. If that happens, that'll be absolutely mind-blowing for me because I'm a big fan of this guy, and let's see if we can make it happen. I don't know. It's a long shot. He's a very busy and well-known person all over the world, but I'm going to try still, so let's see. Anyway, so thank you very much. I really appreciate you. I wish you all a fantastic Friday. Have a good one, and I will see you back tomorrow. Thank you very much, and cheers.